Hey guys, so a lot of you have seen my video series where I showed you how to install an iPad in a Hyundai Sonata. And one of the top questions I got was, what are the options for either retaining or adding a backup camera? Well, the obvious idea would be to buy some kind of wireless backup camera or transmitter that would be able to display its video within an app that runs on the iPad, and then you would just open that app whenever you want to see to back up. So there's a few products out there like these that are relatively inexpensive. However, all of the ones that I've seen, the reviews were really bad. A lot of times they don't work, they're difficult to use, or the connection is just very laggy and slow. So I definitely wanted something that wasn't going to have those kind of issues. And there was actually another product that just was announced when I started looking throughout all of these solutions, and it was called Pearl. And this device looked really nice. It had two different cameras, super wide angle, easy installation, and it worked with both Bluetooth and Wi-Fi to get around some of the issues with the lag. But for $500, it was just way too much money. I just couldn't see myself spending that much money on something, even if it worked really well. And as you can see, it didn't catch on. 1 year later, they, I guess, went bankrupt and nobody was buying the product, so they stopped making it. There's a few places online where you can still find it if you look for it, but even for half the price, I don't know if I would even recommend it then. It's just too expensive for what the product delivers. And there was another fundamental problem with all of these solutions that I looked at, and that is none of them had a native iPad version of their application. Now, you can run the iPhone version on the iPad, but the problem is it's either going to be very small or you can blow it up to double size, but then it's all stretched and pixelated and just looks like crap. The other problem is all of these apps were designed in landscape mode with no way to rotate the video at all. So in my setup with a iPad that's mounted vertically, the picture would show up sideways, and there was no way to rotate. Even with some jailbreak tweaks, there was no way I could find to trick the phone into fixing the picture so that it would show up properly. So of course, that was a no-go too. And a lot of these, especially the Pearl, I reached out to the developers and I asked them, hey, if I'm going to spend $500 on this, why won't you make a native iPad version? And if you read the reviews, there's tons of complaints. And that's true of pretty much all of these wireless backup camera apps. And it's sad because a simple app update could probably fix a lot of these issues, but the developers are nowhere to be found anymore. So what do most people do with backup cameras in their vehicle? Well, if you have a double DIN head unit, a lot of them have a RCA video input that are specifically made for backup cameras. So when you put your car in the reverse, the video is activated on the screen, and there you go, you got your backup picture on your head unit. But in the case like my setup, where I just have a single DIN unit and it's mounted behind the iPad, that isn't going to work, because even if I had a double DIN back there, you wouldn't be able to see it because the iPad is covering it up. And in some cars, you can get away with installing a separate, little 4 or 5 inch monitor somewhere on the dashboard or somewhere in the center stack. But in my case, I was going after the factory look. I didn't want any extra screens sticking around. I wanted a nice, native, clean looking install, and I just couldn't find anywhere in the vehicle where I could discreetly install a screen for the backup camera. So then I discovered that they make rear view mirrors with the monitor built in. Now this is great because whenever you're not backing up, it just looks like a regular mirror, but once you shift in the reverse, the picture comes up right away. I decided that this was the best way to go, since it would allow me to keep a factory look, but still allow me to have a backup camera added into my system. Now there's tons of different kinds of rear view mirrors that you can get, ranging from $30 to even $300. Depending on what features you want. For example, there's models that just clip over your existing mirror, but of course they looked really cheap, so I wasn't after that. And then you can get a standard mirror or an auto-dimming mirror. Now, my Sonata came equipped with a HomeLink-enabled auto-dimming mirror, and I had no interest in the HomeLink feature since it doesn't work with my gate opener, but I did want to retain the auto-dimming feature. Now, if you've never seen an auto-dimming mirror before, they work really well, especially if you're driving at night, because with a combination of a sensor in the front and the back of the mirror, it actually uses these sensors to dim the brightness of the mirror so that if there's cars behind you and their headlights are really bright, they're not blinding you in your face, being reflected off the mirror. Now, in most cars that don't have the auto-dimming feature, they might have a little lever that you can flip, and this does the exact same thing. but I did want to keep the auto-dimming feature. I thought that was pretty cool. And two other things that you can get is the compass, which is also one of the standard features in the mirror that I already had, and also a temperature sensor. And the temperature sensor used to be in my car, but that was on the factory radio screen, which of course we removed. So this was the model that I actually ended up getting. It has the auto-dimming, the compass, and the temperature. And of course, it's a little pricey to get all those features. If you're looking to do the same thing, you don't necessarily need to spend this much money if you don't want to. But this is the one I went with, and I'm glad I did because it turned out really great. Now, one thing I'll warn you about is if you find a really cheap deal on an auto-dimming mirror, make sure that the mirror itself is actually dimming and not just the picture on the screen. A lot of cheaper rear view mirrors with these screens built in will claim that they're auto-dimming, but really all it's doing is changing the brightness of the backup picture. Now, one last feature that you may be tempted to look into with these rear view mirrors is ones that now have dash cameras built into them. And that sounds like a great idea, but if you do any research on these, you'll see that they're all junk. Everybody that has had one said that they only lasted a few months. They don't work well in the summertime with high heat. The sensors burn up. The lenses are no good. I have not found any good mirror with a built-in dash camera, so if you're looking to get a dash camera as well, I'll do a separate video on that. I have some recommendations on those, but I recommend that you get a dedicated separate dash cam and not one built into these rear view mirrors because, at least as of right now, there's no good solutions for that. Okay, so now all that's left is to actually find the backup camera itself. And again, there's tons of these different models available, but what I actually ended up finding one that was specifically made for the Hyundai Sonata. It actually comes with a little mount. It's actually the little license plate light that you unscrew that and then you screw this one in, and it works great. The camera is mounted there at a really good angle. And when it's all put together, it looks very factory and stock looking. It doesn't look like one of those huge license plate covers that, you know, just screams aftermarket, look what I installed. I mean, this solution is hidden, it's out of the way, but it's at a good angle. So I bought that, I bought the mirror, and in the next video, I'll show you how to hook it all up and what it looks like. So if you found this video useful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you around in the next video.